I'm Chrissy, and this is a tiny bookcase. Welcome. Today, I want to share with you some precious children's storybooks that I have in my collection. Perhaps you've seen a few of them in previous videos on my channel, but I wanted to take this opportunity to gather them all together and share them with you in this one video. There perhaps might be some opportunities to find these for purchase still out there, so if I do find some links, I will leave them in the description box below. But this is one of the stacks of books that I have, so let's dig into this stack. So the first book I'm going to share with you is one of my recent additions to my library, and this is The Ordinary Extraordinary Jane Austen by Deborah Hopkinson, illustrated by Quinn Ling. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So I recently got this as a birthday gift from my husband, I think about a year ago. So I had seen this, I think I saw it on Amazon actually. So possibly if it's still available on Amazon, I will leave that down below for you. But this beautiful storybook actually talks about the life of Jane Austen. It begins with her childhood, and then it talks about her aspirations for becoming a writer, how she loves visiting her father's library, and it goes on to talk about her career becoming a novelist and what she went through. There are beautiful illustrations throughout. Here's one of my favorite pages where we see Jane in her father's library. Here's a closer look at the illustration of Jane in her father's library, and then you see also there Jane is with her father as well. So this is a very lovely book to introduce children to Jane Austen if they are not acquainted with her. I think that when you show your children this book and they see her starting off as a young child and moving on to her adult years, that they might find this quite interesting and start to realize that not everyone who is successful, they didn't start out that way. With hard work and perseverance, they do achieve their goals eventually. So I think that's a great example showcased in this book. Here we see Jane scribbling in her journals, and here is an illustration of her father presenting her with her famous writing desk. And throughout this book, it just follows her life, and I think they do it so lovely, and they show her daily life, what it was like during those days. Here's a ballroom scene. There are just such beautiful illustrations. I mean, I think even adults would appreciate this book. I do. If you're a Jane Austen fan, you are just going to just love this book. And if you have young children, you might want to share this with them. My daughter is already 13, and she has read this book. I don't think she's going to be a Janeite, but she enjoyed reading it. So like I said, all ages can appreciate this book. There's even a timeline in the back of the book that gives a detailed, well, let's see if I can find it. So I actually found another page I wanted to share with you, Jane's bookshelf. So on this page, we see all of Jane Austen's novels, and there are some famous quotes from the books. It tells when they were published and a little bit about the book. It includes all of her books that we know today. There are more on the back of the pages, on the back pages. But I did find the timeline as well. Here it is. So this is a timeline of Jane Austen's life, and it describes in bullet point style events that occurred during her lifetime. So with these tidbits of reference, I believe that this is a very well-rounded storybook for all ages, really. But I do think it would benefit young readers. And if you're a Jane collector, if you love her works, then I think you would love this in your library as well. So hopefully I will be able to uh, find some places where you can purchase this still. I'm sure there's some out there still because it's relatively new. So the next lovely storybook I want to share with you is this copy of Cinderella's Dress by Nancy Willard and illustrated by Jane Dyer. This is actually my daughter's book. She received this as her gift for finishing the summer reading program from our public library some years ago. And I've kept this safe for her. She read it a couple of times, but after that, pretty much just stayed on the bookshelf. But I'm a huge lover of books, and I didn't want anything happening to this one, so I kind of just put it away for safekeeping. But it's one of my favorite storybooks. It is a very lovely addition. I'm gonna peel back this book cover, and you'll see that it is also illustrated on the cover, and it's just a little different illustration from the book cover. The book cover has Cinderella coming down the staircase, and then you see her in her dress. So that is a nice feature, because sometimes, with books, when you take away that book cover, it's just plain, no illustration. But this is a very lovely book by the Blue Sky Press. It's an imprint of Scholastic Incorporated, and here is the title page. And this is such a beautiful illustration for the dedication page. It looks like an old-fashioned book plate, and there is the fairy godmother. I just adore this book. It is beautifully colored. The illustrations are so vibrant, and these are a couple of extra characters that are shown in this book that will be very important to the story. The magpies, I think they're magpies. And these guys are collecting all these baubles and shiny bits. And later on in the story, you will see what is done with all of that treasure that they accumulated. But you will see there's Cinderella, and I believe that is one of the stepsisters. See her doing Cinderella doing her chores. It is very reminiscent of old fairy tale books. So I want to give you a little closer look at this page right here. This is the text is in this beautifully decorated square. It kind of reminds me of old-fashioned fairy tale books, and I just thought that was a lovely addition. Some of the pages do have that kind of a decoration around the text. Here we have a picture of the stepmother and the stepsisters, and here is the scene where the stepsisters, envious by Cinderella's dress, tear it to bits. So that's always a sad part of the story. But we know what's going to happen in the end. So here we see Cinderella in her tattered dress. And you see the magpies there. So pretty much you can tell how beautiful this storybook is. The exquisite illustrations and the old-fashioned design, inspired design that it has. I just think that this is one of the most loveliest storybook for children I have seen. It is one of my favorite books in our collection. Here you see that the fairy godmother did arrive, and she did what she does, and there she is, Cinderella, in the beautiful dress the fairy godmother created for her. And it's not the same as the dress she had previously. I actually like this dress, is beautiful, but I really did like the dress that Cinderella had created. But this is a little bit more regal, and I guess more in keeping with the event she will be attending. And here is a beautiful illustration of the carriage and the beautiful horse and carriage that the fairy godmother creates for Cinderella to travel in. It's just got such beautiful illustrations. And there we have the end page. So I'm gonna see if I can find, here's the back. I wanted to show you the back of the book cover. I'm wondering if there is an illustration on the back. Let's check it out. Yeah, there is. It is the back. It's the back part of Cinderella's dress, the one she actually created herself. So if I can find somewhere where this book is still available, I will leave it down below, because I think that it is a beautiful edition of a storybook of Cinderella that I've seen in a long time. But now I want to move on to this is a double book edition of C.S. Lewis, The Chronicles of Narnia. So I got this, I want to say, gosh, many years ago, at least possibly 14 years ago, because I purchased this before my daughter was born, and she's 13 at the moment. So I want to say about 14 years ago at Walden Bookstore. There isn't any more Walden bookstores in my area. I don't know if there even is Walden Bookstore exists anymore, but it did close down in the area where I live, and that's where I purchased it. But I'm sure that there probably are still available in other stores or even over the internet. But I really like this book edition because this has the first two books of the Chronicles of Narnia, and it comes in this really pretty case. So you see the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. That's the illustrations from the Lion and Witch and the Wardrobe. And on the other side, you can see this illustration is from The Magician's Nephew. So The Magician's Nephew is actually the first book in the series, but most people don't really know too much about The Magician's Nephew. It's one of my favorite stories of the series. And actually, I think it's my favorite story of the series. And in this book, we learn all about the beginnings of Narnia and how it was created. And it talks about the two young children that actually discovered it, and it's a very charming story. I really enjoyed reading this one. I didn't know there was a book before The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but I purchased the series for my son, and I liked the story, so I actually started reading them, and I was surprised when I saw that there was a book before The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So when I read it, I just fell in love with the story. But this is very beautifully illustrated. You'll see when you open the book, you'll see a map of Narnia, and I love when there's always maps in books. And here we have the title page. So there are some pages that just have text, but there are several illustrations throughout. Some of them are small, and some of them aren't colored. This one is, though. I was trying to find one that was black and white. There are a couple of those, but I'm not finding them now. So this story will tell you, it'll tell you the beginnings of the creation of Narnia and of the witch. I'm trying to think of her name. I can't remember her name right now. Let's just read the back of the book, shall we? When Polly vanishes from after Uncle Andrew's horrid trick, Diggory has no choice but to follow her. Touching the magic rings takes the children into a wood where mysterious pools lead to countless other worlds. Their adventure opens up the doorway to Narnia, a new and magical land where animals are learned to speak and where trees are able to walk. But Narnia is under the threat of the evil queen, and Diggory and Polly have to find the magical fruit that alone can save it. So it doesn't mention her name in this one, in this little description back here. Oh my goodness, Jadis. Her name's Jadis. I knew I'd remember it. So yes, this story finds it's Polly and Diggory. I was trying to remember the children's names, but it's Diggory's uncle who developed these rings, and the rings take them to the world where an area where there are worlds, and they travel to these worlds. And one of the worlds they travel to is Narnia, and it's at its creation when it's just beginning to form. It's a very interesting story. It is just magical, and I really enjoyed reading it. And if you haven't read it, I would recommend it for adults as well as children. But I think children will enjoy, well, I mean, obviously it's for children, but adults will enjoy it just as much as I did. I mean, if you're a book lover, I think you really would enjoy this story. So, and the next book, of course, is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And this is a beautiful scene of the snow where there is Jadis in her sleigh. And there we see Edmund, who meets her. And again, this book opens up to beautiful illustrations as soon as you open it up. And this is the title page. So you see Dear Mr. Tumnus with Lucy at the beginning when she meets Mr. Tumnus. So this is a HarperCollins Publishers edition, if that is helpful in maybe finding it online. Here is a small illustration from one of the rooms in the professor's home, where the children have gone to stay during all the chaos that's going on back in the city. But here again is the illustration of Lucy and Mr. Tumnus, and then we see Mr. Tumnus' home. Here's a couple more little illustrations. I think a lot of people are very familiar with this story, but if you are not familiar with it, definitely pick up a copy of C.S. Lewis' Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and definitely read the series of the Chronicles of Narnia. I don't think you will be disappointed. It's a lovely story. It continues to go on and on. The story goes on, and the characters do change throughout the books. I was kind of disappointed at the beginning, but after a while you just get sucked into the story. So yeah, pick it up if you can find a copy. But for these editions, I will see if I can find if they're still available, and I will leave it down below in the description box. So that concludes all the books I have to share with you today. I actually wanted to share some of my Holly Hobby book collection, but I don't want to make this video any longer than it already is. So thank you for joining me for this video. I hope you enjoyed all the lovely storybooks I brought to you today from my personal library. And if so, please hit the like button and consider subscribing for more content such as this. I appreciate your viewing this video. And until next time, take care. God bless. See you soon. Bye.